Welcome back to the Yo Hockey Show, and today we are talking about who is going to win the Stanley Cup, and the stage is set except for one spot, where over in Dallas, Texas tonight, the Dallas Stars will be taking on the Seattle Kraken for the last spot in the conference finals, where they will play up against the Vegas Golden Knights on the other side, on the eastern side of the board, of the map, of the, well, I guess not of the world, but whatever. We've got the Florida Panthers, the Cinderella story, if you didn't believe in them, unlike me, who saw this coming, and the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that I've been touting since before the beginning of this season as a Stanley Cup potential champion, and all these teams coming together, and it's been fantastic to watch. I think this isn't my favorite playoffs ever to watch, but this has definitely, I think this has been the most interesting, the most fun to watch one, if overall. And I know I just said the opposite, but just because, like, the teams that I, am, die hard for aren't in it, so, my heart's not totally into the playoffs. But anyways, it has been such an exciting one, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're going to say who is going to win the Stanley Cup here. Just a little bit of a predictions about to go into the conference finals. So let's start out on the eastern side of the board. You know what? No, let's start on the west, because I've already got my decision made here. I've already decided that no matter what happens between Dallas and the Seattle Kraken, that the Vegas Golden Knights don't have a shot against them. And I think most people actually won't disagree with that, because I think most people actually hate them, so they might be like, yeah, screw the Golden Knights. So I don't hate them, but I don't think the Golden Knights have been, I don't want to say they haven't been challenged, because they really have been challenged against the Oilers especially, but the Winnipeg Jets, they other than game one where they looked like actual losers on the ice, other than that game, they were all dominant all over the Winnipeg Jets in round one. So not really challenged, basically a bye round for them against the Jets. The second round against the Oilers, it was only 4-2, the series ending because of McDavid, of Draisaitl, right? Like, those two superstars leading their way, but they couldn't get the job done like they could do last year and get to the conference finals. And Vegas just has a very good shutdown style of play, especially with their guys like Mark Stone on offense as well, and Chandler Stevenson being able to shut down the other team, as well as just their defense is just so solid with guys like this purely good defensive guys in guys like Braden McNabb. Just like not even like the main guys of like Pietrangelo, but Theodore, but guys like McNabb are like those perfect players. Nick Hague, to be great defensemen. They might not get a lot of points, but they're there to shut down the other team. They do that perfectly, and they did that against the depth of the Edmonton Oilers. So to me, at this point for the Golden Knights, they just haven't really impressed me. Like, they're not bad. I'm not saying they're a bad team. They definitely have earned their way through the Pacific to get to this point, but I just don't see them having like that well, let's just take a look at Seattle and Dallas. That, like, we are the team. We went through hell against these other teams. We have fought in the trenches. We've been physical. We've scored. We have goaltending. We've got defense. We've got depth. They have that. They're the battle-hardened, experienced team that has gone through war and has made it to this point, right? They have fought so hard. The Kraken beating last year's Stanley Cup champions in an amazing series and outstanding them and having so much depth that every game it's a different set of guys scoring goals, and they can score from anywhere, and Grubauer in the back looking like a god. And really the same thing goes for Dallas as well. Sure, they've got Robertson and guys that can get 3 assists a night and 2 goals, but they've also got guys like Mason Marchment. They've got Joe Pavelski, I know, up there with Robertson and Hintz, but guys who can, like, score 4 goals a game, because Joe Pavelski, he is a playoff performer. Being a Sharks fan, I know that, watching his play in the playoffs, like, he is a clutch player. Like, if there ever was one, Captain America, Joe Pavelski is that. And they had to go through hell and physicality and endurance against the Minnesota Wild. They made it past them. Now they go up against a more skilled team in the Seattle Kraken. And I think no matter what happens between Seattle and Dallas tonight, one of them will move on to the finals. So we're just going to scooch them over here. So now, between them winning tonight, I personally think Dallas being at home and kind of bouncing back against when they lose games, I think Dallas is going to pick up the win. And I think Seattle's time is over. Not because they didn't earn it, not because they're not good enough, but I just think Dallas has always been very good at bouncing back, especially Jake Ottinger at bouncing back after losses, kind of like Andrei Vasilevsky. And I think they're going to withstand the Kraken at home with the fiery crowd behind them and their bounce-back attitude and just certain players that I think like Robertson and Pavelski and Hintz and Ben and Sagan, Marchment, all these guys all the way down to the defense. These guys are not going to – they never give up. This team never gives in. They never give up. They're like John Cena, and they're going to get through it at home, and they move on to – let's move them up here – to the finals. Now, on the other side of the board, we've got the Panthers and the Hurricanes. Now, the Panthers, the story that most people, other than me and I'm sure a few Florida fans, didn't see coming, but I sort of did, is the Florida Panthers. Just amazing story. Beating the Bruins and beating the Maple Leafs. Round one against the Bruins. Just the Bruins being such a stacked team, it was a hard series for them to win just because they couldn't. I think the Bruins, they did not really impress me in the series. I being personally honest, and I like the Bruins. They're one of my favorite teams, but they did not impress me at all in their series against the Panthers. They are one of the best, probably the best all-around team that has ever been made. I mean, obviously with their regular season record, but I think when it came to the playoffs, it didn't feel. It felt as if they were still in the regular season. They're like, we're so good, we're just going to run over the other team. We don't have to try that hard. And that's the difference between a team like Vegas and why I think Seattle or Dallas is going to win that one. Is Florida was like, we're going to do this. We're the underdog, and we're not going to be. We're going to win this thing. We're not going to let the other team be better than us. The team's freaking stacked. And they went out there. They were the one with the fire and passion. The Bruins weren't. They were just kind of skating around, and just because they were given as they're a better team just as a given that they won games just sheerly by like them having better players overall and better defense. But the Panthers were able to stick it out. It was like the Florida Panthers are like it's like the Bruins are like a giant battleship, right? And they were up against the Panthers, which are just like a small, like, corvette. I don't know, like a small wooden pirate ship or something. And the Bruins were like, you know what? We don't gotta shoot our like actual artillery at them. We don't gotta like put on like all like turn energy up to 100 or something. We can just run them over. And the Panthers were like, no way. And they were like making, like crazy maneuvers to get out of the way, and they were able to win the day against the Bruins. That's what I'm kind of getting at here. And against the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team that shouldn't have been in the second round in the first place and got lucky with a good draw in the first round, the Panthers said, no way, we're not giving you anything, and rightfully so ran them over 4-1. And they're looking spectacular. They're on fire. They've got the goaltending. They've got the offense. Defensively, I like them defensively. Not as much as other teams, but I do like them back there, especially guys like Radko Gudas and Stahl. Like, certain players just go unrecognized, and with Brandon Montour, Aaron Ekblad finally scoring a goal, I think that if these guys like Ekblad could start showing up a little bit more on the paper instead of like one goal, maybe he could get 2 or 3 in the series, Montour just being a beast as he is, and Radko Gudas jumping up in the play more like he did for that game winner with Nick Cousins. If they could get all those guys doing a little bit more, and I think they will, because that's what this team is kind of feeling like. They're just putting more and more together. They're like in a video game where you like buy more stuff and you just keep getting better. It's like, oh, I can upgrade like Gudas to be more offensive now, and they did that, and he's also great defensively at blocking shots. This team is so well-rounded that I think they're very underrated, but people don't give this team enough credit. With Matthew Tkachuk, I've gone over it 100 times if you watched any of my other videos talking about them. The Panthers are fantastic. They've got all the pieces that it takes to win the Stanley Cup, but they've got to get past the Carolina Hurricanes. This team's been interesting because the Hurricanes have been able to shut down 2 teams that were very different. Against the New York Islanders, a team that is very good at shutting down, very good defensively, and that's what that series was. Very low scoring. Usually the games were like, 2-1, 3-2. Like, very low scoring, good goaltending games, and they were able to beat the super defense. And then, against the New Jersey Devils. They beat them 4-1 and being just absolutely dominant. And it wasn't like dominant how like the Golden Knights were against the Winnipeg Jets. They were like playing like they should be playing on Superstar in NHL, and they've set the difficulty to like rookie, and they were just running them over and just all intensity. It was like a practice like drill out there the entire time. And I don't want to take any credit away from the Devils, but that's kind of what I thought was going to happen in round one against the Rangers. But of course they're the Fugazis, so I should have known better. But then the experience of the team, of the young guys versus the guys who've been battle hardened by Brent Burns, and it just the whole team in general has been there for these playoff runs, that the experience and the overall depth of the Hurricanes. I've said it for the entire season. Unfortunately, without Pacioretty, I think they could be like 10 times, well, maybe not 10 times better, but just a little bit better with that goal-scoring touch, but they don't need them. This team, I've been saying it the entire season for a year now, that this team is built to win the Stanley Cup. And with guys like Brent Burns just being on fire, this team's got it all. This team has every position on lock. Every player is playing. Guys like Jesper Foss jumping up and being a superstar. That's what you need from your team. And I gotta say, the Panthers, they've got that too. And that's what I think makes this entire whole conference finals so intriguing, is that every team, like all the players are buying in. There's no one team that seems like a cast out. It's going to be very interesting. And between Florida and the Hurricanes, I think Florida might have the goaltending edge because I don't know. I don't know if Anderson or Ronta or whoever's going to be in net. I just feel like Bobrovsky's been so good against the Maple Leafs that I think I'm going to give them the edge goaltending-wise. Defensively, I give it to the Hurricanes. And then offensively, I think I edge it to the Florida Panthers. And I think with just the story and how it's going, I think the Hurricanes are going to be... I think it's going to be the closest one between the two series, and I think the Panthers move on. And our series in the finals will be the Panthers versus the Stars, two teams that seem very close to each other with like a superstar defenseman in Montour and Heiskanen. A great, I don't want to say top line, but like these two teams, like all the way down the lineup is like stacked. Each line, I mean, you could go down each one, every player 1 to 18 are like so even. And I think overall I would give goaltending to Ottinger at that point. I think if they get past the Golden Knights, he's going to prove himself even more that he is the superstar goaltender of the future. He's the next Vasilevsky, and I know people want to say it's Shesterkin or it's Sorokin. It's Jake Ottinger. Maybe he doesn't have the difference is Shesterkin and Sorokin will have the best numbers in the regular season every year, but Ottinger shows up in the playoffs like Vasilevsky. He doesn't have the best numbers in the regular season, but he shows up and is a god in net in the playoffs. So I think I give the edge in goaltending to them. Defensively, I like Dallas's defense a little bit more just because they've got the workhorse in Heiskanen. They've got guys like even Harley who can make plays. So I think defensively there, and offensively, that would be the interesting part. And I think overall, I think the winner of the Stanley Cup, at this point, before anything, this team has even made it to the conference finals, is the Dallas Stars today. I'm sure in an hour I'll change my mind about this, the Florida Panthers, but I'm saying right now it's the Dallas Stars. They've got the depth, they've got the goaltending, they've got the defense, they've got the heart, they've got the drive, they've got the grit, they've got the skill, they've got every single piece of the puzzle that you need to be the greatest team to lift Lord Stanley's Cup, and that is what I gotta say. So thank you for watching. That's all I got for you today. I'm sorry, I'm a little stuffy, so if I sound bad, I apologize. And until next time, thank you for watching. Too sweet. Pick up your free subscription down below if you've enjoyed and gotten to this point. And until next time, have a great day, and ta-ta for now.